Hey guys, I'm Jonas. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Challenger HD rear seat kit and how to install it on your newer model club car. So this is the Challenger HD rear seat kit from ProFormX. Now these rear seat kits are available for most of the newer model Yamaha club car and E-Z-GO golf carts. Now a big thing that you'll notice right away about these rear seat kits is how the arm rails are designed on these rear seats. Now these use an 1.25" arm rail, which is significantly stronger than the 1" arm rail that is commonly found on most of your other rear seat kits. Now you'll also notice that these arm rails have a little bit different design than most of the other rear seats that you're going to find. And this is to help you when you're getting up and in and out of this rear seat. Now, the other thing that you'll notice on these Challenger HD rear seats is the foot plate. Now, these have a really heavy-duty molded plastic foot plate with metal reinforcing frame underneath of it. This helps make these one of the strongest rear seat kits on the market. Now, these seats even come with welded-on seatbelt mounting tabs. Now you'll also notice that these are a flip style rear seat like most other rear seats that you see. Super easy to flip this seat over. It's got a nice grab handle on the front of it there to help you flip it. And then that gives you a nice sturdy flatbed here to be able to haul stuff around on. Now these do also come with the access panel for the optional storage tub. So you can get the storage tub to go in these, and that gives you a nice storage space to securely store items underneath of the bed. Now these seat kits really are a good bang for your buck. They're a very heavy duty, well built rear seat kit, and their fitment quality is second to none. These are by far some of the best fitting rear seats that I have ever seen in my 20 years of building golf carts. Now, if you guys want to check out these rear seats, you can head over to the website at myperformx.com. Now, to get started installing this rear seat kit, the first thing we're going to do is remove our seat back cushion. Now, to do that, we just have to use a 10mm socket and remove the 2 bolts that are towards the top back side of that cushion. Now we can just pull that cushion up and out of the way. Now the next thing we want to do is unbolt our rear top supports. Now when we're doing this, you have the option to either completely remove this top from the cart, or when I'm doing them, I like to just use a broomstick or something to hold up the back of this roof while we remove all this rear section from the cart. So I don't unbolt the front ones, just our back top supports. To do that, we need a T40 Torx head bit along with a 13mm wrench. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this broomstick to prop up the back of this roof. Just lift it up off those top supports, and now my broom is holding that up and out of the way. Now the next thing we need to do is use a 10mm socket to remove the 4 bolts that are holding this sweater basket assembly into place. Now we are going to be reusing these bolts, so you do want to hang on to those. Next, we'll use an 8mm socket to remove the 2 bolts that are inside of your sweater basket going out. And there's 1 on each side. Now we'll also need to pop out these 4 plastic rivets that are pushed into either side of our sweater basket. Now we've just got 2 more bolts that we need to remove from the back of these mounting brackets, and they're going to use a 10mm socket. Now we're ready to install our bagwell brackets. So we're going to have our bracket and have a bolt with a washer on it, and we'll drop that through the top of our bracket, and then we have a thick spacer that's going to go on the next on that bolt, and then we drop this mounting bracket down into the outermost holes in each corner of our bagwell, and then we'll do a washer and a lock nut onto the bottom. Then we can go ahead and tighten that bolt most of the way down. You want to leave it just a little bit loose so those brackets can turn a little if they need to. Now we can set the frame of our rear seat into place. Now once you get your seat base set down on the cart, I like to go ahead and insert the bolts for our bagwell brackets up at the top. So that bagwell bracket is going to go on the front side of our cross beam that runs across the bottom of our seat pan here. And it's going to go in the outermost hole. So there's 3 sets of holes there. They go in the farthest ones out on the front side of that cross brace, and you can go ahead and bolt those in place, and that's going to help us kind of hold this seat in position a little bit while we're trying to do this next step. Now the problem is when you go to flip this seat over, it puts all your weight back here, and this wants to flip up off the cart. So if you've got an extra set of hands to help hold this down while you're getting the bolts in up here, it's a big help. Now we need to use a flathead screwdriver to remove the 4 plastic caps that is covering our bolt holes in this seat pan. So we're just going to pop those caps off. There's 2 on each side, and then we're going to be using the 4 bolts that we retained from the sweater basket when we removed it. So we're going to use those 4 bolts and line up with the corresponding holes that are in your cart. And then we can use our 10mm socket to go ahead and run those in a little ways on one side, then go over and install the 4 bolts on the other side, and then you can come back and tighten them down. Now once we've got all 4 of those bolts tightened down, we can go ahead and reinstall our plastic caps. Now we're ready to install the foot plate on our cart using the 2 bolts, washers, and lock nuts included with your kit. Now we're ready to install the arm rail onto the cart. Now before we bolt this on, I did go ahead and set our seat back mounting bar into place. Now we have to have that in place now because it's going to get bolted on with the same bolt that our arm rail does. Now for me, I think it's easier to start with our middle mounting bolt here first to kind of help support the back of this arm rail. Now in your kit, there's going to be 2 different Allen head type bolts that have to be used, and the longer ones are the ones that you'll need to use with this particular kit. So you come through this center hole going towards the outside and then through your arm rail. And then we'll need to use one of the acorn nuts on the outside along with a flat washer. Now once we've got that installed so it holds things in place, then we can come up here to our front bolt and use one of the long bolts and washer to come in from the outside and then through our seat back mount, and then a washer and nut on the inside. Now for our upper mounting bolt, your kit does come with a spacer that goes in between these 2 pieces to take up the gap there. So you're going to use one of the long bolts and washers, go through the arm rail, and then slide your spacer in between the arm rail and the seat back mounting bar, and then another washer and nut on the inside. Now we can go ahead and repeat all of this on the other side. Now we're ready to attach the arm rail to our foot plate, and we're going to be using this support bracket in between those 2. Now this support bracket should have the bottom pointing towards the back of your cart. You don't want to install it backwards or get them flipped side to side. So when we install this, the hole should be in this bottom back corner, and this should be going towards the back of the cart, and you should be able to just slide that bracket up in between the 2 as we raise our foot plate up into place. And then we're going to be using the long bolts and washers from the kit, and you should be able to slide that bolt all the way through, and then we've got a washer and nut that goes on the inside. Now we're ready to install the new rear top supports that were included with your kit. Now when you bolt this onto the cart, the angle part needs to be pointing towards the front of the cart. Now it's easiest to drop the bottom in first and then pivot backwards and get it slid up onto the mount on your roof. Once you've got it up into place, then we're going to be using the bolts and washers that came with the kit line it up with the hole on your back support bar, and bolt it into place. Once we've got our top bolt in, then we can go ahead and install the lower bolt and repeat this process on the other side. Then we can go ahead and bolt our top back down onto our new top support using the original bolt and nut that we removed from the top. Now, once we get to this point, I like to just go through and tighten down all the hardware that we've installed so far. The only thing that we've really got left to do is install our cushions. So it's a good time that we can easily get to all of this hardware. So I just go ahead and tighten that down now. So now we're ready to install our new seat back cushion onto our rear seat. Now we want to, when we install this, make sure that the U part of the seat cushion is up. That's going to be the top of our rear cushion. And then we're going to be installing these brackets onto that cushion. Now when we bolt this bracket on, it needs to be oriented in this direction so that this bar that goes across is going to be up. So you don't have them upside down. They're going to be getting bolted on like this, and we're just going to be using 2 bolts on each side. And you need to have these smaller bolts with the lock washer and then the flat washer installed on them. And we can go ahead and bolt these seat brackets into place, but just leave that hardware loose for now, as we will need to align these brackets when we go to actually set it down onto that mounting bar. The brackets may need to move a little bit from side to side. Now that we've got our brackets on there, we can go ahead and drop this cushion down into place, and we're going to be using the bolts, washers, and lock nuts that were included with the kit to attach those brackets to our crossbar. Next, we'll be installing our front seat back cushion. Now we're going to use the original bolts that we removed from this cushion when we first took it off for our top mounting holes, and then we have new bolts to go in for our bottom mounting holes. So to start out, we'll just go ahead and get our top bolt started in here. Now with our top bolt started on both sides, we're going to use a T40 Torx bit to install the screw and washer into the bottom hole on both sides. Now the last thing that we've got left to do is to install our seat bottom cushion. Now when you install this cushion on the cart, if you have one of the cushions that has the lines in it, you need to make sure that the U-shaped line is towards the back of the seat. So that's the back side of our seat, and then this is the front. Now when you're installing this, it's easiest to kind of have it at an angle like this, and then we've got our bolts that have to get started in from the back side, and you can let the cushion come out a little bit so you can see where those holes actually are to get your bolts started. Then once you get all 8 of those bolts started, then you can come back and start tightening each of them down. Now we're also going to go ahead and install the optional storage tub for this rear seat as well. Now when you buy these rear seat kits, they do not come with this tub. This is an option that you have to order separately. If you don't order this tub and you want to just use this rear seat as it is, there's nothing wrong with it. It has the cover here that just covers that hole up, and when you open it, you'll just see a hole that goes down into your bag well. But if you want to do this optional storage tub, it's super simple to install. You just drop it down in there with the hole for the latch on the back side, so that when the latch closes, it goes right into the recessed hole there. And then that tub is going to come with 4 mounting screws. Now you want to use a number 3 Phillips head screwdriver to install these screws, and you just put 1 in each corner. Now if you guys want to check out these rear seat kits, just head over to the website at myproformx.com. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today, guys. If you got some good value out of this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.